You guys know how useful Reddit is? No, really, I am serious. Reddit is a nice platform to get any type of advice or reviews or knowing how to do something or whatever. Like, you can utilize this tool and it will benefit you. For instance, Reddit has helped me in terms of deciding on what to use for my business, how I should go about it, and honestly, advice that has helped me a lot in terms of moving forward with my project. I wanted to go over a few examples, and as you can see, I am on Reddit. I am not logged in. I don't need to log in as of August 2024. If you want to sign up, go ahead, but for now it suffices for me. And one of the examples I want to go through is an instance where I was looking for a mail service for my business. Now, I'm just starting from the ground up. I don't need anything complex. I don't need any suite like Microsoft Suite or Google Suite. It just doesn't work for me. I don't need it. All my files are locally. Potentially, if I scale up, maybe, but for now, I just don't need it. So one of the questions I had was, is iCloud good enough? Because iCloud has custom domains. And after doing some research, I found that yes, it was. So if I go to this post, which I believe where I got my conclusion from, you can see the situation that the author is in, and he's asking, should he stick with Gmail or fully transition into an Apple ecosystem? Now, it's not exactly my situation, but it helps me get an idea of what I can do. So if you look at the answers, you have people talking from their experience where they have iCloud Plus with custom domain for a year now and not too many problems with it, which is perfect for my case because I want to hook up my custom domain to a mail service and I don't need the Microsoft Suite. I don't need any of the extras. So this makes sense for me. And if you go down, and you might see it come across comments about what are the downsides, and some people are talking about spam filters, which I haven't experienced yet, but I haven't read full scale, so I can't really answer that. But for now, it's serving the job well, and it goes well with the use case of my application, which I am looking to launch soon, so stay tuned for that. All right, so this next example is going to be Photoshop and Affinity Photo, and this doesn't really relate to me, but I've seen people talk about going from the Adobe suite to Affinity suite, and one of the common tools is Photoshop or Affinity Photo, and people want to know if it was sufficient for their use case. So this one, you would have to be very careful on which one you choose, and you want to take as many comments as part of your conclusion. So if you go on to the first one, which is in the Affinity Photo subreddit. So one thing I didn't mention was you need to also make sure that you're looking into multiple subreddits. You don't look at one, and I'll mention this further in the end, but we go to one of these. You can see there's a bit of a mixed opinion. Some people talking from their experience on how they went about it and what they missed. So for this person, it's about Adobe fonts, but in the end, he came to a conclusion that he was fine with it. And you could see people talk about what are the plus and minuses, which half of it I don't even understand because I don't deal with photos or anything like that. So one thing you do want to make sure is that you don't fall into some biases, so you need to make sure you capture that. Sometimes it could be very sneaky, but you could tell by the comments how biased it sounds. But one thing I can assure you, if you see someone talking from their experience and backing up with points, then you can use that as part of forming your conclusion on what to get. All right, so here's another example with an iPhone to Google Pixel 8, and this one gets a little controversial because there's people on both sides, but you can find genuine reviews, honestly, from experience. So if I go to one of these posts, you can see this person is talking from his experience moving from iPhone to Google Pixel, and he's talking about the pros and cons for each one of these, and he gives a little summary in the end, overall how he felt. And then people can counter that with what he can do to improve some of the cons that he's facing. And it's pretty much a community that's helping out each other, and it's like a forum. So there's a lot of back and forth, and then you'll see some odds of people arguing with each other about what sucks, what's the best, what's not the best. But this one seems to be pretty good, so no problems here, even though it's from an unofficial Google Pixel subreddit, so pretty good. All right, so this next one is a bit more scenario based, and this one's to do with me starting a business. And so I was trying to navigate some options for myself in terms of opening my business, and Of course, you should use an accountant and make sure you get some advice from the accountant, because I am not probably allowed to say otherwise. But I wanted to explore myself in my own risk, and honestly, I got some good answers, especially for something like this, which talked about insurance and the liability of launching a product in a certain business structure. So ultimately, it helped me form my conclusion on what structure I should start with to at least get the ball rolling, because I don't want to be stuck in a process which I probably don't need and pay extra fees which will not do me any favor. So that is crucial. Of course, you want to probably get the final word from a lawyer or an accountant. Don't rely on posts, but if you need a direction, some of these subreddit posts do help you. Alright, this one's a bit more scenario based. I don't know if this is the best way to go about it, but it is happening, and people do use these subreddits as a way to get answers to what they should do in terms of their personal life. And here's one I found. Alright, so I came across this post about, do I bother trying to enter this industry in Australia? And this is a real life situation which many are facing. So it is a current event as of 2024. This was 7 months ago. As of August 2024, this is definitely a situation that many are facing right now, especially beginners. And he mentions that he's got all this knowledge that he got from TAFE, and he's 27 years old, and he's worried about whether it's worth it or not. And then you go down, you see so many encouraging comments. You get people like recruiters who have been working for 15 years, and he talks about different scenarios that he's witnessed which would help him, which is a bit more encouraging. And you could see people giving some advice which would help this person to go through what he's suffering. Honestly, he's not the only one suffering. There's many people that are suffering as well. So yeah, just to move on from the current situation, you can see how powerful Reddit can be as a social media platform. It's a tool where you can get some answers. And there's multiple scenarios you can use Reddit for. So some of the scenarios I can think of is if you're doing some social media posts, there are some questions on subreddit. So if I go to our web dev, and honestly, Reddit is a tool which you can use for multiple purposes. If you're writing social media posts, you can use some of these posts as questions for your social media content, which you can answer, you can create blogs about. It's a tool to help you if you use it right, because I guarantee you some of these questions, you're able to answer it. And you can make beneficial content that would aid many other people into that specific question or area. Alright, what do you want to avoid when using Reddit? So one of the things you want to avoid is taking as word. You don't want to jump into one comment as your conclusion. You want to get multiple comments and form your own conclusions and weigh in the pros and cons. I think we're getting in the stage where some people are relying on other people's comments, and that's not good. You need to make sure that you're making the final decision. You do not want to rely on someone else. And if you remember from high school or university, if you've been through that system, they tell you to get multiple sources as part of your report assignment. That's very similar to what you want to do here, and this is more personal rather than just a report you're writing. Another thing you want to look out for is biases. And it takes you a while to get used to that, but if you see a comment that is leaning on one side and not talking the benefits about the other, that's a bias that you might not see. But most of the time, some people can counter that and say, no, I had a different experience. All right, that's it. Please let me know what you think of this video. It is a different format, so I am not used to this, but let me know what I did well, what I didn't do well. And I've got a product coming up soon, so I'll have more videos out, but I will tell you soon on what that product is. Stay tuned, and I'll see you all later.